Molding bricks under the intense heat of the hot sun. Hauling carts of supplies back and forth like donkeys that weigh more than 200 pounds. Getting thrown in wells. Getting whipped with sheepskin and leather. These are all different things that child laborers have to face every single day. They do work such as picking cotton and making carpets. For this work, they usually get paid less than $1 a day. Yes, you heard me, $1. I will be going over this horrible, massive problem, how it started, how we can take action, and how both them and us can benefit alike. To begin with, how did it start? Well, it started with the Industrial Revolution. As you see, all the things around us, everything that's around us was somehow or another influenced in part by the Industrial Revolution. However, whenever the Industrial Revolution was taking place, parents and families needed money. And for this, they sent their children. And these children, after primary school, which is known today as elementary school, they weren't required to get an education. So, parents sent them off to factories to go work and earn them a living. And whenever these children were working, instead of getting an education and going to school, people thought that this was a good idea because cheap labor, without complaints, what could get better than that, they thought. So, there it went, and the idea stuck in people's heads, and apparently people liked it because we see child labor in many different forms all around us today. Now, what is this massive problem? There are millions of children out there. There is a whopping 17% of children worldwide are engaged, according to UNICEF, in some kind or another form of forced labor. And this is not good. They work in dozens of countries, including China, America, India, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and even some places in Europe. So as you can see, this isn't just a third world problem. They do work under the scorching, blazing hot sun that us Westerners cannot even begin to comprehend. These chubby little hands should be on pencil. These tiny chubby little hands should be on pencils in school or playing in the sandbox. Not these chubby, sweaty young hands should not be in brick furnaces, just so then they can try to make a living for their family for a chance of life. This is not acceptable, but the good news is that we as fortunate people can do things about it. For example, we can hold rallies, we can write letters, we can simply just spread the word as I am doing right now to people like you, the audience. And how do you take action? We can do it in simple things, especially at the market. For example, whenever we go buy a shirt, if it's labeled made in India or manufactured in Bangladesh or anything like that, it's more likely than not made by child laborers. And these child laborers, they work long hours, long into the night, in tiny cramped sweatshops, where they usually earn around maybe half a cent a day. Yes, you heard me, half of a cent. That means that in 1 month they would earn not even 50 cents worth of money. And for most people in America, people earn at least $3,000 or $4,000 at the minimum dollars a month. This is simply unacceptable. Additionally, we could also, when we're buying a house, if the bricks we probably know, as you heard me now, they're most likely made by a company called Acme Brick, and brick companies such as Acme Brick employ the use of child laborers in third world countries such as Pakistan. As we see in a book by Francisco de Adamo called Iqbal, this is exactly the case. It is based on a true story of a boy named Iqbal who worked in a brick factory, and he transformed his and everybody else's lives around. Just like I told you to right now, he escaped. I didn't tell you that, but he escaped and he decided to hold rallies and write letters. Just like I told you before, it works. We saw it in that very true story, and if you trust me, it will work whenever you try to. There are many different companies such as Acme Brick, like I said before, sports companies like Adidas and Nike, and clothing companies such as Forever 21 and Zara. And all of these companies, including many more that I did not list, use child labor. So the action will have to come from these companies. And we can write letters and we can hold rallies, so then we can hold these companies accountable for their awful, terrible actions. And the benefits. Say if you are suffering from stress in your life, or if you just want to feel happy, then helping out with child labor, simply donating a quarter to child labor foundations is enough. By doing something as tiny and as relatively marginal as that, can go 100 miles whenever it comes to dealing with child labor. These children need us. We are fortunate people, and these children need us. And if you want to feel warm inside, then go for it. Do anything that you feel might stop child labor, because this is a terrible problem and it must be stopped. Even as I am talking now, there are dozens of millions of children around the world doing their daily routine. But this doesn't have to be the case. These children can get an education, they can go to school, and they can be productive young adults later in life. How can we make that a reality? We can make it a reality by you doing whatever you feel is best to end this mass problem. These children are the future. These children need us. Thank you.